Welcome back to another episode of the Overwatch Coach. Inconspicuous by my absence, I've been down and out for a little over a week now with COVID. It's kind of nice to get back to things again. I haven't really been playing much of anything since the Saturday before the Thanksgiving week, but starting to kind of get back on the upswing. You might even be able to hear it a little bit in my voice or what have you. But like I said, we're getting better here. So I figured I'd start getting through some of these VODs that I tried to get lined up for this previous week before I ended up getting sick. So to anybody who's getting these VODs about 10 days late, I apologize for that, but I was the sickest I've ever been in my adult life, and that was not fun. I didn't go to the hospital or anything, but it definitely knocked me on my ass for a full week and maybe even then some. But we're back. So without further ado, we have we've got a bronze Moira support player who says he's stuck in bronze 5. He gave me 3 games. Somebody already replied to him on one of the games. So before I realized he got some replies on my Reddit post, I was actually going to do the game the other guy replied to until I realized he already got a bunch of feedback on that one. So that felt kind of pointless. So then I grabbed this one because I didn't see anybody commenting on the Lijiang Tower one. So hopefully this one will be all right. So let's get into a little team comp here and see what we are dealing with. So we are this Moira here. And we've got a Baptiste, a Reaper, an Ashe, and a Doomfist. So, this isn't... I don't particularly like this team comp as a whole. I guess I'd be looking for Baptiste to be healing the Doomfist, although that's going to be kind of difficult. And then for you to be healing the Reaper kind of as your primary, and then basically healing everybody but the Doomfist. I mean, if the Doomfist plays close to you guys, then maybe that kind of changes a little bit, but excuse me. I'm not seeing a lot of synergy on this team comp as a whole. I think Baptiste is going to struggle to keep the Doomfist going if the Doomfist is very aggressive, and if he's not, then why is he even playing Doomfist to begin with? I think the 2 heroes that are going to benefit from you the most are going to be the Baptiste and the Reaper, and assuming the Ashe plays with you guys, you can be able to heal the Ashe pretty well too. But if the Ashe is going on a lot of flank missions or playing on their own, then it's going to fall a little bit more on the Baptiste to heal both the Doomfist and the Ashe. It's going to just kind of fall into how the positioning and all this goes. The one thing I will say for this kind of a map is when you guys start fighting on the point, I'm going to be looking for you to be throwing a lot of healing orbs in ways that bounce around the objective so that it acts as another healer when the team fighting is going on. And then also looking at their team comp, it looks like you guys are going to have the healing advantage if everybody kind of plays in an advantageous position, because Mercy and Lucio, not the greatest of heals, although just to throw into that, these two are self-healers to some extent, so that kind of alleviates some of the pressure off of them. So I don't know, this will be interesting to see exactly how this all plays out, because I see problems on both sides here, but it's some of this is going to be on like how your teammates play.
Round 1.
And then usually I make suggestions on who maybe to play in place of this. So actually a good question. I guess what I would suggest first is you've got an Ashe, so Mercy might be a good pocket choice if this Ashe is good. Could be good for the Reaper too. Brig could maybe be good. Provide yourself a little bit of shielding, a little bit of a bounce back. You might even be able to get a boop. Lucio's always good on this map. I'm a big fan of playing Lucio, speeding everybody out of spawn, getting to the point a little bit quicker. So that basically, yeah, Mercy, Lucio, and then maybe Brig. I'd say maybe those three as like other options if you felt like Moira wasn't really covering it. It'd be three other supports to maybe go here, but let's see how you do with Moira.
I'll handle this.
See, this is what I'm talking about. The Doomfist dives in here, and now he can't get healed. Now, Baptiste, I would expect Baptiste to be jumping over this ice wall and then healing from on top of it, but for you, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, I guess you could probably just teleport around here or around here, but it might put you in a tough spot. I normally suggest for Moira teleports, save it for an escape route rather than trying to engage with it. I do engage with it once in a while, but sometimes I'd pay for it more often than I'd like to admit to. So that's kind of what I meant by playing Moira with a Doomfist. It's like as soon as they go in, you lose line of sight of them, and there's not a lot you can do about it. But okay, the Doomfist lives. So the only thing I don't like about what you're doing here is you kind of left your Doomfist high to dry. You saw he was low too, and then you just kind of, I don't know, I guess you just got really hyper focused on healing the Reaper. So by the time it took you to loop back around your team and then re-heal them all, they were already like in a retreat. So if you would have just stayed with them on that. Now see, now you're in a retreat, and when you just enabled your team to go in again, but then you went on a retreat, and then all that healing basically was for nothing. You shouldn't have.
Tests were inconclusive.
I want to actually go back a little bit here. Let's just talk this out as it's happening. A little bit more. Okay, so the ice wall just goes down. The Baptiste has gotten everybody basically to a point where the fight can still keep going. So let's just, I'm going to slow this down just a little bit, but then we're going to talk about it while it's going here. So you should be, yeah, all right, so I'm good with the healing orb. You're getting a few right clicks off, but now all of a sudden, like, you're stuck in right click mode, and you're really slow to disengage off of that. Keep in mind, we're a little below 1 at the moment, but you retreating into that room, I'm not really sure why you did that. You should have probably just stayed over, probably over here. Then you could have shot a healing orb into the room. You could have been topping off the people that were engaging. He probably wouldn't have did a full retreat. You kind of left your Baptiste in a rough spot there because he had a lot to deal with you kind of just going off into a full retreat mode. So like right here, I'm fine with that healing orb, but you like just go chasing after it, and so it's like all these guys get topped off, they want to go in again, but now you're in a full retreat, now they're not getting healing. And the other thing I want to add, and this just happened, so the Lucio just booped off the Baptiste. When you're on this map and there's a Lucio, you don't want to stay on the bridge. This is just not where you want to be. So if you go the route of the bridge and there's a Lucio, that's not the end of the world, but you don't want to stay on the bridge. The idea would basically be get past the bridge and start the fight right over here. And it's so you don't get booped off. And you guys are kind of just hovering around that bridge at this point.
I must recharge. Hold on.
Okay, so now that Reaper shouldn't be going in. At this point, you guys should be in full retreat, like back to spawn retreat. Like all of this is feeding. Okay, so that's way too much right-clicking. As soon as the Reaper went into Wraith mode, you should have started healing your Doomfist and your Reaper. Because this right here, this is all for nothing. That damage orb is going to get healed. You're already at full healing, so start using it. You're not going to get a pick here. Now you're walking into a Reaper. Get away from Reaper. Oh, heal, heal, heal. So, all right. If you were gonna throw a damage orb out here, I would have been looking for a healing orb on point. Just bounce it off the walls, so that way it acts as like an extra pseudo healer. The one caveat to what that would be is the enemy Reaper's low and none of their healers are paying attention to them. So if you threw a damage orb out this way, that I would have been cool with. But this damage orb that you're about to throw, nah. That damage orb doesn't do anything. You're throwing it into both healers, they're going to just out-heal that. So again, look, if you would have thrown the healing orb just like right there, and then it just would have bounced back and forth, all of these guys would be getting healed. It's going to bounce back, so if you take damage, it's going to start healing you, and if it doesn't, it's going to bounce back to them even quicker, and they're all going to get healed. So look for maps, for King of the Hill maps, look for healing orbs on point. Yeah, kind of like that. I would have actually done it a little bit higher up, but yeah. So, did you have your teleport?
I offer something more.
Wait, you didn't, but hold on a second. Wait, so you walked into the mail? You did. So yeah, you got to be a lot more aware of your surroundings if you're walking into mails. Now, I would get it if you were like in the center of it and you were trying to get out, and then you got to like here and froze. But this death is 100% on you. I mean, you might have still died anyway after the mail, but you didn't have to die to the mail. You know what I mean? Like you walked into that. Don't walk into mails. Because if you time that just right, you can go into the mail and it won't freeze you if you outweight it enough. But I mean, you were in that like right at the beginning. So you now your team's splitting, and this is what I was talking about before. Like if the Ashe plays with you, it can work, but if not, it's going to be difficult for a Moira to heal. See, now this is exactly what's starting to happen. You got two guys going one way, the Ashe is going the other way, and now what do you do? So what I would be looking to do here is teleport across the gap. Heal the Doomfist, and then as the Ashe starts coming in, probably retreat to them, unless the Reaper and the Baptiste can help with the Doomfist and actually start making some headway. Because if I can teleport over here, you might be able to go on a little bit of a flank yourself on the Mercy or the Lucio.
A cure for all the tales.
The only reason I'm saying to do that is because you've got your ult. So if you can land like a damage orb, a little bit of a right click, and then finish them off with your ult, you might be able to get a pick that way. But okay, so right here, wait until you get a damage orb out or a healing orb. Throw it through Baptiste's window and then use Moira ult. Because that's the only way you get any kind of value out of a Baptiste ult. So you should have waited for your orb. Heal. Yeah, little slow on the heal there. but
Foolishness has consequences. Incoming!
Lending a hand. Be nourished.
so again, the only thing I would say, I like the idea behind this healing orb, but just throw it higher. Get it like above, get it above this. So then that way it's like kind of bouncing around and it covers a little bit more ground that way. Okay, good teleport. You didn't die to the Reaper ult. That's
Need a moment
good.
to recharge. I'll offer something more.
动作不许走！
Okay, stay out of the mail. Orb. I'd have looked for a healing orb there and then just right click a bunch.
Your assistant
Okay, good.
for the parched. A cure for all the tales.
Yeah, that should have been a damage orb, not a heal orb. Because you're sending that right into the enemy spawn. You could do a little damage. And the only reason I would have been okay with that, because normally I would have said that would have been like a feeding orb for the enemy supports. But the reason why I would have been okay with that is you're at 95%. I'm okay with using a kind of like dumb damage orbs just to get your ult charge when you're that close. The point I was going to make, though, about the damage orb being a feeding one, like, had you have sent it into their spawn, that just would have been healed by the Lucio and the Mercy, probably more the Mercy than the Lucio here, and then you would have given them ult charge, and they're so close to an ult, too, that, you know, maybe not the most advantageous thing, but because you're so close to yours, that's kind of the
Receive my
exception to the rule. So I don't know what that Lucio's beat dropping. Well, wait, what is he beat dropping?
I'm having fun.
Maybe he was trying to save the Junkrat. Not sure.
Your strength becomes mine. Surrender to my will.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you should be targeting the Mercy. Let's go back just a bit here. So right here, you see the Mercy's healing the Junkrat. The Junkrat's not gonna die when the Mercy's on him. I mean, he might if like the Reaper and the Baptista are all landing shots on him at like simultaneously, but you should right here. You should be instantly on the Mercy. Yeah, there you go.
Repairing your cellular makeup.
Okay, good. It's all just cleanup duty here. Alright, not too bad. Alright, let's do a quick team comp check. Did anything even change? Nothing changed. Everybody's pretty much staying the same. So the only thing that really changed is the enemy tank ended up going Diva. Everything else is for the most part the same. Well, they got Reaper now, but they had Reaper at one point in the last round too, I think. But so okay, if they're running Diva, the one thing that I want to point out for is how you use your orbs. So you either have to do a couple different things that you can look at this for. One, you could be just throwing the orbs away from the Diva. You could be throwing them high up so that they overshoot the mech, and then it either makes them look all the way up to try to defense matrix it, or they just ignore it. Or you wait for the defense matrix to be gone, and then you throw the orb out. Or you could be throwing a bunch of healing orbs into your backline area where the defense matrix isn't really going to be probing around. So let's see how you handle it.
That was good, but don't slack off now.
Your end is within my
So,
reach.
yeah, so it doesn't, I mean, I guess you don't actually know there's a diva yet.
Take them out.
So I'll give you a pass on this first one.
Enhancing your vitals.
So way too much right-clicking here. You should be keeping that Doomfist as healed as possible. Doomfist is the worst tank in the game, so he's going to need as much help as humanly possible here. Okay, so I'm going to start judging off of this damage or moving forward because you definitely know there is a diva now. So, the Doomfist knocked the diva back, which actually helps you quite a bit because where you're shooting the orb. So the orb's going to do a little damage to the Reaper, a little damage to the Mercy. I don't expect Defense Matrix to eat that orb. However, that's only because of what Doomfist did by punching the diva back. Okay, so you have the right idea, but your tracking on that Lucio got really poor for some reason. So right here, this should be a kill like within a couple seconds, minus if they amp. But then you lose them. Like right there, you lose them. And then the Doomfist just finishes them off. So work on your tracking a little bit there. That should have been your kill, not the Doomfist. Also, you're doing a little too much right-clicking in this fight. Like, you clearly got some people hurt in front of you. Get them topped off before you take the point.
I will not be denied.
There you go.
Your end is within my reach.
Stay near the other latitude. Behind you.
Okay, this is too much healing. You're just holding. Oops.
Ready
Okay.
for battle.
Come to your end.
So I'm fine with this, although I actually kind of would have rather have seen a healing orb bounce off of this desk back to here. But I'm okay with the damage orb. It's just like your Reaper's so low.
May
Okay, so like right here, it's like a reaction time thing, right? Like you're holding down your healing for some reason when they're clearly behind you. Like your reaction time here is just really slow.
Behind you.
And then like right here, why are you just holding the button down? Like they're all out of your line of sight and you just keep holding it.
cure
And
all
then
the tales.
and it's like you've got nothing left now. Like a lot of that got wasted right there. The way this game's going, though, I expect you're going to be able to get it back pretty quickly. I mean, you kind of already did. But when you get into higher ranked games, you got to manage that a little bit better, your healing ammo. Yeah, so it's like you're kind of getting lost in the fight a little bit there. Let's rewind this just a little bit. So like right here, you're frontlining right now, and I get why you're doing it because you're trying to get your healing ammo back. But you got enough of it back at this point where you should be kind of falling back into the back line, and you kind of look like you do that. But like right here, it's like you kind of just panic and you don't know what to do. And some of this falls on decision making, some of this falls on the team comp. It's you know, because it's like Moira's not great for healing a Doomfist. Moira's also not great for healing an Ashe. So like the Reaper should be like, as long as the Reaper's not going on heavy flanks, which he really hasn't been, he should be topped off all the time by you. And then the Doomfist really wasn't even all that far in. So I mean, like, frankly, you should have been able to heal this Doomfist too. But like at this point, it's just kind of a wash. Because now everybody's just dead. The one thing I would say though is when you were frontlining to get your healing ammo back, and then you teleported backwards and you kind of teleported right into the middle of what became a team fight, I maybe would have I would probably suggest saving those teleports for when you get dove onto or start taking shots. Because when you teleported basically into the middle of the team fight, you couldn't do anything, right? Like you were just kind of like in the middle of it all. You could see the panic just in terms of like what you were looking at. So try to save your teleports for when you need to get out. Now I get you were kind of overextended, so you're in your head you were getting out of that, but that's where good positioning comes in at.
Surrender to my will.
So the one thing I want to add is when you Moira ult, throw out either a healing orb or a damage orb before the ult comes out. And to know which one to do is basically going to be dependent on how you intend to use your ult. Are you going to be offensive with it? Then throw a damage orb in the general direction of where you're going to Moira ult. Are you more doing a healing job? Then maybe throw a healing orb out. Is it basically just a giant team cluster and you're going to be doing a little bit of everything? If the team is together, then throw a healing orb out and do a little bit of everything with it. Like, you see what I'm saying though? Like when you've just got your healing beam going, you could still be doing more. So keep that in mind. Before you press your ultimate, have an idea in your head about like, how are you using this ultimate? Am I going to DPS with it? Am I going to be healing with it? Is my team together? Is the enemy team together? You know, it's a lot of different ways to use a Moira ult. None are necessarily wrong, but when you just go in blind, that's wrong. Yeah, I was gonna say, get that mercy. Get out of that ult. Okay, good. Got your Reaper topped off. Get your Doomfist. So the only thing that I would say there is for that after fight heal cleanup, it might be beneficial to just let a healing orb do it so that you don't burn through all your healing resources. Because now you're going to feel the need to frontline.
Target in sight.
Yeah, see, that's... This is why you don't like playing Moira with flying heroes. And why you also don't like playing Moira with heroes that are kind of like flanking or trying to push up a little bit, because you're not in a position to heal like anybody right now. So the Reaper died because he just wasn't getting healed. Although I'm not really sure why the Baptiste wasn't able to heal him, but just speaking more in terms of you, you weren't in a position to heal him, and nobody is in a position to heal Echo. And I don't really know why they went Echo to begin with, because I don't know how they expect to get healed. I mean, you're the only one that can really heal an Echo. Baptiste is going to really struggle with it. Granted, Echo is like a more of a grounded flying hero. Like they do touch ground to some extent. So Baptiste can kind of heal him that way. But Echo's an odd choice for this. But like, you just Yeah, see that teleport there, you just teleported into the Winston away from the Echo. That was not a good teleport. And I'm not sure if you would have really been able to. So I don't know what all that spray was. You just sprayed the ground for like 3 seconds. But that teleport, like, you know, that ate up time that the Echo maybe could have been saved on. I don't honestly know if you would have been able to save that Echo. But you definitely could have tried, and that teleport ruined any chance of that. So again, here, this Baptiste needs to get out. I don't know what the heck that Baptiste is doing. So I will say this, in a higher level game, and I'm healing, and I see a Baptiste like going in by himself, like what you just saw there, I let him die. And the reason I let him die is because you can't save him. That Baptiste is taking on the whole team by himself, and he's just feeding. And if you heal him, even if he gets 50% extra health from you, that's 50% extra damage the enemy team gets to do on a hero that has no business being there. Don't enable stupid feeding from idiot teammates like that Baptiste, who should not be there. He shouldn't have been there. He should be like where you're at right now. And now your whole team has to wait for this guy to respawn again. So don't enable stupid positioning like that. Don't do it. That was just a lost cause. Don't enable it. So it's kind of unfortunate here that your whole team like isn't picking up on that and waiting for your Baptiste, because now it's putting you in a rough spot, because now you've got to heal the whole team. Yeah. So you gotta, these teleports need a lot of work. Like, I'm fine with you teleporting out of this, but just teleport over to here or something. Like, just teleport out into safety and then just keep healing. Like, instead you go way off, like you don't even go a straight line. You go like, you take a jump, and it just eats up so much time before you can land and actually do anything, and you take yourself out of a position to be able to even heal these guys. Like, you don't have to jump when you teleport, but you jump anyway, and then it just flings you back into the spawn, basically. And at that point, everybody's dead. Like, you can teleport short distances, and you don't have to do the jump. And I don't know what you're healing there, but everybody's dead. And this goes back to the Reaper thing again. Like, he shouldn't be there. And you can't save this. This is not savable by you.
You cannot escape me. Gonna need a new paint job after this. I'm under attack. You will be renewed.
So your team just got Maywalled, I think.
You cannot escape me. I'm under attack. You will be renewed. The point is vulnerable.
Wait. I'm pretty sure your team got Maywalled.
Gonna need a new paint job after this. I'm under attack. You will be renewed.
Yeah. So, what's happening behind you? So you just keep marching in. I'm just curious, what happens behind you here? Okay, nothing really. Alright. Alright, I was just curious if you were like missing anything behind you, but you weren't. I want to back up just a little bit.
Let them up.
So, okay, again, so because you kind of just like beeline straight for the point, you're not going to be able to get much advantage out of that Baptiste window. However, what I would be looking to do, bounce a damage orb off of that cylinder thing, and it's going to hit the Winston, and if the Winston moves, it's going to bounce back to point. It's probably what I'd be looking to do. Or you could bounce a healing orb off of the same area, and then that healing orb will get a bonus too. But instead, you throw your ult. You had your orb, but you didn't use it. So here, yeah, okay. So now that you're already committed to your ult, you have to focus Sombra, otherwise she'll hack you right out of it. So that's a good move. You did very good there. Okay, that's a good teleport. The kind of teleport you just did there, that's what I would have been looking for out of that last May ult that we just got done talking about. So that was good. Heal. Yeah, just focus on healing here. Nobody on your team should be dying. D.Va just died. So you gotta kill the Mercy, not the May. Okay, Reaper's got you covered. Heal.
Performance.
Misery made manifest. Repairing your cellular makeup. I require a slow attack. Please
Activating self-destruct.
So, the one thing I'll note here is that it's like your team didn't know as a group what to do once they took the point. The D.Va moving in was, I would say that was probably the right decision. Try to hold them as close into their spawn as possible, but barely anybody went. I think it was only you that went in with them. So if the team doesn't know what to do, you guys got to get on a microphone and start making you got to make a conscious decision, right? So like in this case, like, you know, a third of your team moves up into the enemy spawn, the rest, and then like 2/3 of the team stay on the point. Well, that makes both decisions wrong. Like, if your whole team just stays on the point, well, fine. At least you guys are making a decision as a group. Or if you all move in, you know, good, because then they're gonna have a hard time just pushing through you guys to touch point again. So something to think about here is make a conscious decision and then call it out so that everybody's kind of on the same page and doing something together. Because in a case like this, if your team just moves in and does something and they're all on the same page, you're probably going to get a bigger benefit out of that than just you doing the right thing. Because if it's only you and the D.Va doing the right thing, then it's actually the wrong thing, because you still got 3 other teammates not with you, and then you guys aren't really going to do anything. You know what I mean? Like holding the spawn door. Heal. Gotta heal. Yeah, see, Baptiste shouldn't have died there.
for all the tales.
Okay, so things to work on. So 1, ult with orb. When you ult with a Moira, throw an orb out there and know ahead of time. Have like an idea in your mind, like, okay, I'm gonna try to get a pick, so I'm gonna throw a damage orb out, and then, you know, yeet out my Moira ult. Or okay, my team's gonna need a bunch of healing heals. Here's a healing orb, and then I'm gonna heal you guys with the ult, and then I'll start damaging after that, or something like that. But number 2, your Telly escape. Make sure you're using that teleport ability to escape when you're being dove on. and use it in ways that don't necessarily get your team killed when they're waiting for heals. That happened at least twice. There might have been a third time. I can't really remember. But better use of your tellies. And then number 3, I'm going to say tracking. I almost wanted to point out your Moira healing juice, but I'm going to say tracking just because I feel like this is a little bit more of a unique one for you. Like when you were trying to kill that Lucio, as an example, you should have been able to kept your cursor on him and gotten him killed so that somebody else didn't need to finish him off. That should have been your kill. So focus on the tracking a little bit more, get your aim a little bit better. When you're in duels with healers, maybe not necessarily with that Lucio as the best example, but when you are trying to like track down a Lucio and you're right clicking them, you know, that's a great time to throw out that damage orb, because you're not going to right click a Lucio to death unless he's already pretty low, like the example I've been using. But, you know, when you're in a duel situation and you're not taking a lot of damage, throw that damage orb out on whoever you're right clicking, because that's how you're going to like really get the kills. And then I do want to actually point out a fourth thing, team comp. The team that you were playing with, I don't really think it benefited tremendously from having a Moira. I think they could have benefited a little bit more from a different play style of your Moira, but ultimately the teammates you had, I think they would have had a little bit of an easier time with different healers, and that goes for the Baptiste too to some extent. But I think Lucio on the first point could have been a really good pick. I think Mercy could have been good. Could have been good for the Echo, could have been good for the Ashe, even the Reaper and the Baptiste. So just throwing out a couple other suggestions there. And then Brig. I think Brig would have been good compared to what you were up against. I think, you know, that shield would have been able to block some Sombra hacks, May freeze and whatnot. You might have been able to protect some people, walk into some May ults after it's been going for a few seconds. Then you can walk in with your shield and maybe shield a frozen teammate after throwing an armor pack to him or something like that. I'm not saying Moira couldn't have worked there. It obviously did, but you know, I just like pointing out that team comp wasn't the greatest, even though you got the win. So I hope that was helpful. Hope you found that educational. Sorry it took 10 days to get to, but you know, COVID sucks. So anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.